Alright, I am almost completely done with the Chieftain. Right now I'm at Juggernaut status, and I want to test out the Death's Fury explosions with increased area of effect. So I grabbed a few increased area of effect nodes. I have an increased area of effect situation over here. I have increased area of effect situation right here. I have this bad boy anointed. And a bunch of these have Burning Bright on them. I think all of them have Burning Bright. We got Burning Bright. And then this one's got both Burning Bright and Widespread Destruction. So I have quite a bit of increased area of effect. And on top of that, I'm using a Carcass Jack, which has increased area of effect. I got increased area of effect on the Amulet. And I was going to go even more ham if it allowed the explosions to have increased area of effect. So let's test that out. I'm using these boots so that the fire explosions from the other boots don't interfere with the visuals of the explosion. Let's turn up some volume here. We need some sound effects way up. Right to there. So we can hear the pops when they happen. I wish you could only have sound effects for pops, but you can't really do that. So my AOE is pretty large. But those pops are not that large, I don't think. They're not looking like they're really getting that much of a benefit from the increased AOE. In my opinion, and from what I can see visually, it looks about the same AOE as it was before, so I don't think AOE is applying to these explosions. And if AOE is applying to these explosions, it doesn't scale very much like Cyclone. You get a Cyclone build and you increase your AOE and your Cyclone barely even changes. And you can see my Righteous Fire, it is pretty large. So I am getting quite a bit of increased area of effect. But it's just not impacting those explosions to the degree that I was expecting, hoping, and wishing. Now that might just be a mismatch of expectations and reality. Or it could be something different. It could be that because it's the enemy exploding, it's the enemy's area of effect that's important. So I have another map out there that I'm going to run next that is going to have 100% increased area of effect of enemies. And it's my theory, unproven, but it's my theory that that increased area of effect on minions is going to increase the explosions for when they die. That'll be an interesting mechanic if true, and we will find out on the next map if that is how it works. And then I'll probably run one extra map, just for the giggles, so you can see the increased area of effect on the fire boots that make those little micro fire explosions. Because it is pretty cool to have increased area of effect with those boots. I know, it's painful. See me as a jug without unstoppable. Explosion took out that, So the idea was just get a lot of AoE and just run through the map and let the explosions kill everything. I would have stacked a bunch of bosses, and it would have been pretty great. But if those explosions aren't increasing in size, as you see, my damage is pretty low for Righteous Fire. Because I'm using increased area of effect and, you know, not really focusing on damage over time. I'm mostly just focusing on flat fire damage, because flat fire damage is going to pump up the explosions, and damage over time is not going to pump up the explosions. Alright, so that was me running a map without increased area of effect. Now here's a map. Monsters have 100% increased area of effect. Now you guys be the judge. Is my area effect... Well, first take your vote. Do you think it's going to increase the area of effect? I personally think it will. So let's see if I'm correct. It most definitely seemed larger there. Let's get a few more. Could just be that multiple went off at once. Oh man, those look bigger. They're so fast, it's hard to kind of grasp, but it does look like those are bigger explosions, which is weird that in order to pump up the Death's Fury explosions, you gotta increase the area of effect of the enemies. I'm pretty sure, I mean, this might be known knowledge. I've never played really any exploding builds. Fun times. I mean, this isn't a build designed for tankiness. This is a meme build. It was supposed to be a meme build. A bunch of AOE and a bunch of explosions. What map is this? Plateau? See, this is pretty great with the increased AOE. And if there was any bosses in there, simulacrum bosses, metamorph bosses, beyond bosses, and you get those explosions, it instantly kills them. I mean, it doesn't really instantly kill them on 100% delirious, but it does instantly kill them if you're not 100% delirious. I do need to go and get that loot. No, I don't. That is way too far of a walk. Now let's put on the other fire boots. Now this AOE experiment is mostly a dud because AOE does not increase the explosions. You have to increase the area of effect on the monsters, it looks like. It's hard to tell visually, but I'm pretty sure that is how it is working. I don't need no channeling. So now, let me equip my other boots. My other boots. Where are my other boots? I kind of need a map to run, don't I? It would appear so. Caldera? Sure. I don't remember what Caldera is. That's going to be awkward with the energy shield. I'm just looking for maps that I know. I know Summit. This increased area of effect with the boots are pretty awesome. And I'm wondering if these explosions on the boots will get even bigger if I put increased area of effect slotted into the boot. Here, let me see something. They have the explosion here. Nah, it's not listing either Death's Fury or the explosions from the boots. So it's hard to tell whether socketing into the boots. Let me read these. Enemies for 4 seconds, dealing 40% chance when you kill a scorched enemy to burn each surrounding. I should have tested these on the other ones to see if this also gets an increased area of effect. But I was going to make a big ol' explosion build and just stack all the exploding mechanics I can get and a bunch of increased area of effect. But the main exploding mechanic is Death's Fury, and if that doesn't increase with increased AOE, I'm gonna just cancel this entire project. Because the whole objective is to just get a bunch of AOE and a bunch of explosions using Death's Fury. Obviously I can use other explosions that scale with AOE, like these boots, but that's a little boring. It's not as exciting if you can't get Death's Fury to explode with the gusto. I mean, look at those explosions. They are smaller. It's just so hard to tell, but I'm pretty sure they're smaller on this one that does not have increased area of effect with enemies. I think it's super interesting. Such a good mapping strategy. Such a good mapping strategy using the bosses. In case you wanted to see what that looks like, just a quick little glance. Grab this node, and then grab each one of these three. That's pretty much the strat. You just grab these three, boop, 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 and then this guy, and then whatever else you want. I'm doing Delirium, and then a bunch of this middle stuff. But those are what you're doing. And obviously shrines, so you can just blast through. That is the experiment. It's a dead experiment because Hinekura's Death's Fury does not increase with AoE, which is a bit odd, but it kind of makes sense because it's not you doing the damage, it's the corpse on the ground or the enemy that you killed that's doing the damage, so it's going to apply their modifiers. It is just weird. This game is coded very weird sometimes.